I'm here with David Swanson, and we are now talking about ACORN. And you were talking about James O'Keefe, Hanna, Giles, and the attack on ACORN because they were registering voters.
I think this was the motive. The way ACORN was organizing low-income people to become politically powerful with some notable success, and was registering low-income voters who were going to vote disproportionately for the Democratic Party. And ACORN was doing it absolutely legitimately and legally, unlike many others. And you have this fraudulent documentary producer, this video hoaxer, who's now having to pay back large sums of money to some of the ACORN employees who were wronged. But at that time, it became a national story. The fraudulent story became the national understanding. ACORN didn't push back effectively enough, and ACORN was brought down. And Congress members who had worked with ACORN and been elected by ACORN and supported by ACORN ran for cover. The president pretended he'd never heard of ACORN before. I mean, just about everybody dived under their bed. It was like the famous saying of first they came for the labor organizers, then they came for the communists. And this is what we saw. And we have had a series of these attempts to fraudulently bring down individuals and groups, and you finally had people start pushing back effectively after the ACORN won. And you had Congresswoman McCollum introduce the ACORN Act, which was to actually go after corporations taking money and committing crimes, which ACORN hadn't done. So this was a bill against corporations organizing to ruin our nation, the ACORN Act, that ACORN would not have fallen victim to, but Lockheed Martin would have been at the top of the list. Of course, it didn't pass. But this was the exception. I mean, it was just scandalous that everybody ran for cover. And I would have loved to have still been at ACORN, not because I think I could have saved it, but because I would have liked to be there to go down with it, you know,
to be in the fight,
but it was a wonderful organization that needs to be rebuilt, and that's in progress.
So we're here at the 28th Annual Peace, Justice, and Environment Conference.
And Dixieland concert.
Would you mark the $100,000 fine or judgment against James O'Keefe as a justice victory? We're seeing a lot of banksters get away with murder, and it took a long time for justice to happen with that situation.
Well, yes, but limited, right? Because this is someone at least working on behalf of a movement for which that's pocket change. And this is a story that's unknown. And the value of justice is not just for the wrongdoer to suffer, but for people to know about it so people don't do the same wrong deeds in the future. And the number of people who know that ACORN did something wrong, which wasn't true, compared to the number of people who know that James O'Keefe and his partner in crime have had to pay settlements, it's just dwarfs it. So I think with greater public awareness, I would be more ready to say justice has really been done.
Right, I can see it. ACORN was accused of mishandling $40 million, and there was a decision that claim was completely untrue. So that must have really hurt ACORN's funding. I mean, people trusting in the organization.
Needless to say, I wasn't involved in pocketing any of the $40 million, but my understanding is it was not completely untrue, that in fact the brother of the founder of ACORN had been in some trouble and had been misusing some money, and his brother had covered it up for him, and that had enraged the other top staff members, and so there was internal turmoil within ACORN before it got hit with this fraudulent video campaign, and so it's possible that ACORN could have been on better grounds to push back swiftly and effectively when it got hit, and so that was a self-destructive element in ACORN's history, but that's not what brought it down, and I think the staff could have worked out their differences or hired new staff. To a great extent, the members really were the leaders in ACORN, and ACORN was ready to keep going strong until James O'Keefe.
Right. Can you explain your radio show, your website, give out Twitter account? We've been tweeting out your Twitter account all over the place.
My Twitter is David C.N. Swanson, cat nephew, C.N. David C.N. Swanson. My website is davidswanson.org. I have a website called warisacrime.org where a lot of great people blog, and we post events and announcements and all kinds of things. And everybody always mistakes it for warisalie.org, which is actually the title of a book I wrote in order to confuse everybody. I also work for rootsaction.org and veteransforpeace.org, and on and on and on. There's a lot of great organizations I try to work for.
Okay. You spoke about solutions as far as the anti-war movement. Can you just briefly mention some of the solutions that you're seeing that are working, that people should pay attention to?
Well, I think public education is a huge part of it, and I think we're making progress, and I think understanding of what was fraudulent about the war on Iraq is very helpful and the best thing that the people of Iran have going for them right now. I think that there's a great deal of good organizing at the local and state levels, that there are people starting to look into possibilities for economic conversion. There are people doing great work in counter-recruitment in terms of educating individuals and in terms of keeping tests out of the schools, which the next county over, I believe, from this one in Maryland had some great success in recent years. I mean, there's a lot of great work being done, and we're beginning to build bridges, which is what this conference today was titled. We're beginning to see connections between environmentalists and peace activists, between social and economic justice activists and peace activists, which only makes sense when war is our biggest public program and it's where half of our public discretionary funding is going every year. Then we would have to build these connections, and we only have the strength if we do so. But I think we really have to turn away from this idea of reacting to each little war and build a movement to abolish the war machine entirely, which people don't want to do because they think more strangers will join me if I just oppose that war and say the other ones are good. We have to work our way around that and be willing to say no. The military is the problem. Even if I do not condemn, even if I love my friends and cousins who are in the military, I want them out of it. Not because I dislike them and not because I want some other military to shoot them. I think that other military is the problem too. I want the world rid of it and begin working toward that end. That's why I wrote a book about the peace movement in the 1920s, because people really did work toward that end and made a great deal of progress that we can build on if we remember it.
And what was the name of that book?
That's a book called When the World Outlawed War.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, David Swanson.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And look forward to seeing you again soon.
Sounds good.
And this is
Now,
Robert.
I have a completely
Robert
different
from-
agenda, so we'll sit together.
from DCMediagroup.us.
Okay.
And
Is this lunch?
Yeah, it's here, the caterers.